3,
Three,
2, 1.
What's up, Vangas?
Hello, then, guys.
Oh my God, you peaked so much. You peaked so much onto that mic. Listen, we're on episode 2. You might be listening to this on another day, another week, another year, but this is the same sitting.
Part 2.
Drive to Survive, episodes 3 through 7.
No, 4 through 7.
4 through 7.
Starting off strong.
But listen, we got a lot of fucking engine power, a lot of power, not a lot of downforce, not a lot of control. We're going to be skidding all over the track. We're going to be trying. We're doing a lot of laps today. A lot of laps.
We're doing a lot of laps. We hope that we got some good engine reliability. We hope that we could be like, but you know what? At the end of the day, we're just a couple of Yuki Tsunodas, and we're going to spin
off occasionally.
We're gonna spin off occasionally, but we're not Nikita Mazepins who can't fucking keep it on track. We're Yuki Tsunodas that if we just put in the work, babe, you're gonna start seeing the results, and we're gonna get into those results right now. We're starting with episode 4 of Drive to Survive season 4. Let's fucking get into it.
Honestly, and this is the Haas episode.
Yes.
Or as I want to say, this is Gunther Steiner's like Citizen Kane. Who is this guy?
Mm-hmm.
What's he about? We open. We're in Italy. We're in like the Italian Alps that I guess probably Hannibal and Napoleon had to cross,
right,
to get to Rome.
Right,
so he could conquer Italy. But instead of Hannibal or Napoleon, you got Gunther.
You got Gunther Steiner.
And it's beautiful. And he's speaking German, even though he's fucking Italian. I don't know what he's so, and he's in his fucking windbreakery pants, and he's got the biggest feet I've realized. My Alexa just turned on. I don't know why. He's got clown feet. It's crazy. Anyway.
He's Big Bird, and he's in the mountains because that's where he's from. He's from the mountains because in the earlier season of Drive to Survive, there's a little back and forth between Gunther and Toto, and they're kind of talking about, they're kind of giving each other shit about their kind of like German, Austrian,
Well, Gunther comes at Toto with German,
right?
Saying you could speak German with me. I know you have an English wife.
Right.
Being basically like, hey, you're a fucking traitor. You're fucking sleeping with the enemy, you fucking sellout. But I know where you're from. You're fucking Austrian. And then he goes, well, you're from the mountains, which I guess means you're a fucking hillbilly.
You're a hick.
Right. And then Gunther tells the story. He goes, there was a family friend who used to climb these mountains, several times a year, I guess. And he never took me. And I always wanted to go. So now I'm doing it. Seems like a primal story. Just feel like was Gunther always on the outside looking in?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And he wants to finally. Now it's interesting, like knowing what became of Haas this year, that like him climbing the mountain is what exactly? Like, what is it a metaphor? Like, because they're so good with these metaphors, like Christian skeet shooting, and then they cut to the fireworks, or Carlos Sainz hunting for a seat as he's hunting for a fish as he's spear fishing. What is Gunther like? What mountain is he climbing? Just like coming in last place. I mean, what's interesting is I think it was Buxton that who said, some people it's winning, other people it's just survival. And what's great is like that was Gunther's mindset is like my mindset when I moved to LA. Which is just rent. How do I pay the rent? Because Gunther's like, I've got 22 races. I got to just get through the races. It's like, I got 12 months of this fucking year.
Yeah.
My rent is X amount. How do I get through these months?
Right.
And there's no joy. It's just, how do I pay the rent for these 22 races?
Right.
That's his mountain, which is so pedestrian to me.
Yeah. The metaphor of climbing the mountain and that being what the mountain that he's climbing in that year. It's not it's not exactly a 1-to-1, as they would say. But it's still fucking just like European. It's just very European. It's just like you're in the Swiss Alps. And
and then he goes, last season was very dramatic even for us. And then we cut to him suffering, and he goes, and he makes all these decisions that are obviously going to not turn out well.
Yeah.
Like, obviously when you spend less money than everyone else, your car is going to suck. Obviously and he goes, it never rains, it pours on me.
Right. He acts like it's like happened to him when it's like just because he's like the classic line when he's like just because it's never been done doesn't mean that it cannot work. About having two rookies, and it's just because it's like there's that, but no, there's actually a reason that it's never been done. Also, like not all rookies are built the same. And a Nikita Mazepin rookie isn't exactly a Max Verstappen rookie when he came in and he was racing for the Red Bull Junior program. Like, this is just because it's never been done doesn't mean that it's not going to work. It's like a nice thing that you could say.
I can't tell you how many bad writers have pitched me horrible ideas, and it's never been done before. I'm like, there's a fucking reason for that, dude. No one's ever done it before because it's a stupid idea and it won't work. And everyone's going to hate that idea.
Right. And given what we're seeing now, which is that when they brought back K-Mag and he's fucking topping the charts.
Yeah.
At testing, it's like
cliche for a reason.
Yes.
Cliche for a reason.
Right.
It fucking works.
It fucking works. And this thing don't work. And no one even needed to really try it to understand that it wouldn't work.
Oh, and then we see Gunther making his own coffee, but then then we see Binotto and Gunther wrestling, which makes me like Gunther more. It's like, oh, if Binotto likes him, Gunther's solid. Like, if Binotto's like, come here, you big lug,
right.
If Binotto lets down his guard to wrestle with Gunther,
yes,
that he's well liked among his peers.
Well, I think that it's interesting. There's an interesting parallel between Binotto and Gunther because
they're both Ferrari.
They're both Ferrari, but they've both risen through the, like there's that clip of Michael Schumacher.
Yes.
Like, basically like giving Binotto a noogie. Being like, yeah, and here's fucking Binotto. We got him over here. This fucking, we give him a hard time.
Binotto was the engineer. He was like one of the smart guys.
Right.
I think Gunther might have been one of the fucking guys stretching. He was a literal mechanic.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
He was a lower, like his rise, even though he didn't rise as high as Binotto, like the fact that he made it to being a team principal of an F1 team is quite astounding.
Right.
He started from a much lower place.
But there's still something energy-wise about the two of them that they feel like brothers. They have like a brother. They're both, maybe it's how they look. They're both just like tall and long and goofy looking. And
but Binotto, it's like they're the odd couple. Binotto is Felix, and Gunther is Oscar.
Right.
But then they say, he had to bring in the oligarch.
Right. Yes.
They introduced the oligarch.
So they're talking about Maz.
Iconic. Yes. Gunther makes the most iconic statement, which is aged. When he said it was bad, but now it's just terrible. Gunther goes, "He's not an oligarch. He's a fertilizer guy."
Yep. And then they hold on him.
He gulps. And then he gulps.
And the brilliant, like the raw footage that they have of when they do it so many times in Drive to Survive, where they have someone say something that they know is not true, and then they just leave the camera on them and watch them squirm in the awkward silence after they've just lied through their fucking teeth. And they do that time and time again, and it's every time
it always works.
It always works. It always works. It always works, just like not having two rookies as your drivers. Yeah. There's a reason that it works. Yeah. It's tried and true. Yeah. And if you just cut it, it wouldn't hit as hard. And the fact that you see Gunther say that he's a fertilizer guy, not an oligarch, and then you just know that he's like, and then he gulps. And then
Although they never leave it on Christian, because I feel like Christian never gets caught in a lie because he believes all his lies.
Yeah. Christian doesn't break. Christian doesn't break.
Fucking put
Christian's Kaiser Soze.
Board Christian. Yeah, he's Kaiser Soze, motherfucker. He's not breaking.
He's not breaking.
And then we cut to like the oligarch. It's just a testament to genetics. How like
the genetics are crazy.
It is Glenn and Brian Mueller status. How much those guys look alike.
I do. I look a lot like my father in a way that Nikita looks like Papa Mazepin.
Brian once did an aging himself app, and it just was Glenn Mueller.
Exactly, my dad.
It was just Glenn Mueller.
Yeah.
They both have the same weird blonde,
spiky hair.
Head.
Yep. Vanilla milk dud.
Yeah, vanilla milk dud. And then Gunther, and then the oligarch is like, Dmitry Mazepin is like, I sent you some comments, and Gunther's like, yeah, I gotta read them. I'll get back to you, I swear. And then I wrote, you thought Gene was bad.
Yeah.
Out of the frying pan into the pit of fucking lava. Like he misses Gene so much. Like, who knows what this guy has done to people that have crossed him.
So is Gene what is Gene to the team now? Is he nothing?
I have no idea. His name's still on it.
His name's still on it. So he's clearly still there somewhat, but no, now it's that's right. He traded in a fucking like lion for a pack of bears and wolves in the entire animal kingdom.
It's fucking Jumanji running through his fucking asshole every morning.
Right. And then they're kind of, we're profiling, we're getting to know Nikita Mazepin. We got this new guy, Nikita Mazepin,
and a new color scheme.
And it's
aged so horribly. He goes, there's like, it's a Russian color scheme. He goes, it's not, you don't know that. It could be Russian. It could be American. It could be British. It's like, that's Russian.
He's like, it's red, white, and blue. Lots of ones are red, white, and blue. Yes.
Gunther thinking he's so fucking clever.
Yeah. Also, there's another classic moment that, many team principals have had where they have to lie through their teeth and talk about how talented their pay driver is. We saw it with Otmar, with Lance Stroll, and now we're seeing it with Gunther. And he's like, it's like he's reading from a script. He goes, I'm very excited about him. He's had it took him a few years, but in Formula 2, he's had success, and he's very talented. And it's just like, you just know that he doesn't believe that shit. You just know that he doesn't believe it, but he's in fight or flight mode for the whole season, and so it's like
he's gonna make rent.
Yes, he's just got to make rent. He's just making.
This is him selling blood and semen.
Mm-hmm. And you see what he has to do to make rent, and it's like they're at this photo shoot. Absolutely,
he's selling these toys.
He's selling like
and a sauna, and he's like 6'9", and he's trying to get in and out of this fucking sauna. And his little sailboat with Mick Schumacher. It's fucking insane.
And he's like, at one point, he says, "Do you think did you think this was the aim of my life to be here selling this stuff? But you got to do what you got. It's like, I don't know how I got here, but here I am." Don't know how I got here, but
I honestly don't know if everybody got killed, if every team principal died in some massive explosion.
Okay.
Except for Gunther.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, oh, God forbid.
Yeah.
And Gunther was made in charge of a Red Bull or a Mercedes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think he would feel comfortable with that, honestly. I feel like there's a comfort level in being. He just feels like he loves making the self-deprecating. Like, I don't know how he would carry himself like if he won 7 championships.
No, it would just never happen.
No, but I'm sure if he, I mean, maybe
it would never happen. I'm not saying it would never. I'm not saying it would never happen because Haas is whatever. I'm just saying he would never be able to do that because that's not who he is.
You don't think if Toto, you don't think Gunther could just manage one champion? Like, just give him the car, give him Lewis, give him Russell, make him in charge.
Maybe in 2016, 2017, when there was just like no one was even close. But I think you don't. I think you put him in charge of Mercedes in 2015. Maybe they win one, and maybe one, maybe two, and it's
yeah. But like Haas sucks because they don't have the money.
Unclear. I don't know. I mean, we'll see. They're looking a little sexy right now. They're looking a little sexy this year.
Brian,
it's testing. It's testing.
They came in like 5th or 6th their first year.
I know, but
that's an incredible feat. I don't think he's as bad. I don't think he's as bad as we think he is.
I don't know, man. I just think we see what this new guy at Williams, I feel like, has been able to do, and I'm just like, Haas needs that. Haas needs they need a change up.
You mean they got a venture capitalist is what they got. They got a huge influx of cash that wasn't tied to a fucking oligarch. Well, they got
Williams.
Williams.
Yeah, no, I mean,
they got a huge influx of cash. They got
right.
That helped,
right?
I'm sure.
But they also was like, we need a change in culture at this point.
Also have a Mercedes power unit, which also helps.
Yeah,
Haas has a Ferrari power unit.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, they're a newer, more of an upstart team. I mean, we'll get into Yas Capito later.
Right.
But anyway, I think that
you've got the faith in Gunther. You got the faith in Gunther, and I don't think I have it. I love him. I love him. Gunther. I love him, but I don't have the faith of that. Like, it's just the money, and he's like.
No, I'm saying I don't know if he ran Mercedes. I don't know how he would carry himself. Like, he wouldn't be able to carry himself.
Right, and that's my point. It's like you have to. I just don't think that he has. I just don't think that he has I just don't think that he has the makeup to be like a Top Gun guy. I think that like he's appropriately positioned
in last place.
Yeah, he's a little too comfortable. He's a little too comfortable in that position.
I really hope they.
I'm rooting for them this year. I'm rooting for them hard this year, especially now that fucking K-Mag is back. Yeah. Hell yeah. So we're getting into the Haas of it all. We're and the big kind of drama of this episode and of the Haas season, because guess what? They're finishing last in every single fucking race. They were by far the worst team on the grid. But, there's got to be something going on, and the something going on is that between these two pay drivers of Nikita Mazepin,
Mick
Schumacher, the name needs no introduction. Schumacher's wiping the floor with Maz, and he's whooping him, and by whooping him I mean that he's getting in second to last place, and Mazepin's getting in last place.
Well, but he's beating him by a lot.
He's beating him by a lot, and he's out qualifying him by a lot, and they're in the same, they're in quote unquote the same car. But you know what? There's some questions about that for Papa Mazepin, because there's got to be something afoot if my little boy is not
my sperm is not as fast as Michael Schumacher's sperm.
Yeah, then there's got to be something wrong, because
I was also hoping that I would be like, please give me a better impression of Mick Schumacher.
Right. You didn't get one.
I didn't get one. I was like, no. Can Mazepin beat him once? Jesus Christ. I just want something.
Yeah. And he's just, Mazepin just can't get it right. Just, he's spinning out. he's crashing the car. He just like doesn't. He just can't drive the car.
But he did make a good point.
Yeah.
He was like, Mazepin did say something. We heard Mazepin say, "Why am I slower on the straight than my teammate?" And I was thinking to myself, that is a decent point.
Right.
Because feasibly, Brian, you and I could drive an F1 car on a straight.
As
fast as Lewis Hamilton.
Right.
You just stick you put your foot on the gas.
Yeah.
And you hold the steering wheel straight.
Right.
It's all the other shit.
Right. That doesn't require that much skill. That's not a testament to the driver if you can drive in a straight line fast.
Right. So that seemed interesting. I mean, I did read that the cars were slightly different weights, but that those weights were not, it wouldn't have made it that big a difference for how much he was beating him by.
Right.
Love that they cut to Christian being like, he's a fucking disaster.
Yeah. I was about to say, there's a great.
Christian got into the Haas episode. Christian's
in every episode.
Bitch.
It's so true.
All up in this bitch. It's like Daniel Ricciardo, you lose. Christian wins. Christian is the king. Christian is the fucking king of Drive to Survive. It's not even a question.
It's not a question.
It's not even a question. And Iquitos, he spins in Spain. He spins in the first fucking race.
Yeah.
And then there's this great character, Jesper Carlson. Great name.
Yeah.
And he's the advisor. And you could tell he's measuring his words so fucking carefully. Like, that's the hardest job ever.
Yeah.
To having to be a mentor to Nikita. It's like, yeah, there is something wrong with the car. I think I agree. Like, he's such a fucking bootlicker.
Yeah.
But you can't be a total bootlicker, because then they'll just be like, why are we hiring you? Why did we hire you?
Right.
Are we paying you money?
Right.
And then he's and Mazepin's being a dick on the radio.
Yeah.
And then Gunther goes, fucking hell, that's why people hate you.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe he said that.
That was amazing.
With Drive to Survive there, he said that.
Yeah. That's the peak behind the curtain. It's great. Like, I wasn't expecting to love the Haas episodes or the Williams episodes of this Drive to Survive season, because I was like, I want to see the like Lewis and Max stuff. But it's like, I've already seen the Lewis and Max stuff. It's already been talked about ad nauseum.
Yes.
It's like we've watched every single clip on that thing. There wasn't that much new shit to learn about that. But like, to see what was going on in the on the Haas deck,
dude, that's why we fell in love with Drive to Survive. They didn't even have those. They didn't even have Mercedes or Ferrari in the first one.
Right. And it was
I mean, you fell in love with the midfield.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
Right.
You fell in love with Gunther Steiner being like, we're talking about your fucking wankers.
Yeah. And there's there's things aren't going well. The garage doesn't like Mazepin because he's like an entitled asshole. And
his dad could probably like rub any one of them out. Right.
And they're all kind of aware of that. And there's this great, like, he comes into the garage at one point and he's talking to his dad in Russian. He's like, well, he says like, we don't have a lot of friends here.
Yes.
Like, they're kind of looking around like these people aren't, these
people don't fuck with us.
These people don't fuck with us. Like, it's us against them.
Money.
Yeah, they just fuck with our money, but they don't fuck with us. And I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like,
they know what time it is.
That is wild.
Yeah.
Wild seeing that.
And then he goes, it's great to invest in next year because that's when they know they might have a chance. And he goes, but I still have to drive it now.
Yeah.
Fix it, Brad.
Yeah. And there's this great, behind closed doors, but they still got the mic on. And
Gunther Steiner giving him speaking, trying to put this young lad on his knee and actually giving him good advice. And they've done this before too with Gunther. This is like a little bit of a classic thing. You hear the behind the scenes fight. Yes. Because they leave the mics on. The cameras aren't there, but you hear what's going on. And Gunther's basically just like, like, you could be aggressive, but you can't be such an asshole on the radio. He goes, no, he says you don't have to be nice.
Yeah, right.
You just have to just be more neutral.
And then Mazepin's like, well, I can't be a pussy.
Yes.
I cannot be a pussy.
And he goes, you're not the pussy. He's trying to explain like toxic masculinity.
Right.
He's trying to teach Mazepin how to unlearn all that.
Right.
Like, no, you catch more flies with honey. Like, you're not a pussy if you're like being not mean.
Yeah.
Doesn't make you weak.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, I wish you could understand that. But
it's like, that's not. It's like his dad's a Russian oligarch. His dad has boys with Vladimir Putin.
It's a brick wall. All these guys understand is aggression and strength.
Right.
And Gunther's trying to explain to him, like, nobody wants to help you. They're scared of you.
Right.
They're scared of you. And he's just like, he's going to get nowhere with that.
And he's like, cool. I need a new car.
Yeah.
My solution to this is that I need a new chassis.
Yeah.
And they're like, you're driving the same car. You know, it's like, but he's got his like conspiracy theory brain out. He's like, he's
got the red string. Yep.
And I think at one point Buxton talks about how, you know, like
Buxton was better
nails
this.
Yeah.
I think he listened to our. I think honestly, it's safe to say this is a safe assumption. He listened to our podcast.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay, I think I need to throw it away a little bit more.
Yeah.
He threw it away this season
in
a good way.
Right.
More casual. Anyway.
Yeah. And he's talking about how like a racing driver will look at every possible thing that could be affecting performance that like isn't them. They'll,
right.
You know, if my teammate's beating me,
right,
it's like something must be up with the cars.
Right. If Brian gets more mentions in the DMs,
right,
I'm like, is something wrong with my microphone? And people keep telling me, Matt, it's the same microphone. We bought the same microphone. I go, no. I think we have different windscreens.
Yeah. Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And I still think if we each paid $300 for the Shure mic that Logan Paul uses in Impulsive and Joe Rogan uses, the Shure mic, $300 mic, I think things would open up for us. I really do.
And we just need a Russian oligarch dads to pay for that.
Yes. Or Kitchen Solutions. That's
right. Kitchen Solutions, get your kitchen. If you want to spend a shit ton of money on a kitchen, you can go buy one there today. Yeah, so it's getting to the point where it's like it's been bad. Nikita can't finish a race, and Dmitry is threatening to pull out his sponsorship. He's like, I'll fucking, what am I sticking around this shit for?
He says, what are you doing with my son?
Right.
He goes, I'm going to submit a formal letter. And then Gunther goes, what? Like, he doesn't even know what he's talking. What do you mean a formal letter? Like, just tell me what it is. Just speak to me. I'm right here.
Right.
And he goes, he's like, I'm going to withdraw if you don't do anything. And then he's back in the mountains, you know?
Well, I thought it was interesting. I thought they mentioned that Mazepin was like, my dad he's only missed like 20 of my 400 races.
Which is awesome, honestly.
Well, it's awesome, but it also was like, I don't know how much time he's putting into his business, because I don't know how much the business is really like what he does and why. It's like you run.
Here's the thing, Brian, when you don't have any competition, you can make all your son's F1 races.
Right.
When your competition is either arrested, beat up, intimidated, bought out for pennies on the dollar.
Right.
You can make all the races.
Yeah, so it's awesome. It's awesome that he's been able to to go.
No, but I mean, he loves his son.
Right.
I mean, it's,
that's clear.
This is the shitty version. This is the shitty version of Crimes and Penalties.
Oh, right.
where the mafia guy, the New Jersey was it? No, he's in Connecticut. He buys his son a fucking
the hockey team.
He buys his son the hockey team. It's a great documentary if you guys don't know it.
Yeah.
But you end up loving the Nikita Mazepin of the story and the Dmitry Mazepin of the story.
Right.
They're just so likable.
Well, they feel like underdogs, whereas this doesn't. They're trying
even though they're breaking every rule and spending way over the salary cap to get NHL players during a lockout.
Totally, but it still feels like they're underdogs for whatever reason. And this doesn't
He's like
really feel like that.
This guy was called a Nigerian nightmare. I had to have him.
Yeah, there was
the VHS of him fucking people up.
Yeah, so they're threatening to pull out, and we see Gunther back on the mountain, kind of like, what? How am I gonna handle this situation? How am I gonna handle this situation? He gets to the top, and it's like, well, thank God, because there's the Russian Grand Prix coming up, okay? And we're going to be in Sochi. And that is the one, it's like, you know what? That's the one that they really care about, because they're the
Well, you're missing that Mazepin is training in his fucking little compound.
Oh, right.
And he's training, and it's like, it's so Ivan Drago from Rocky IV in his little compound. It was amazing.
Yeah.
And then Nikita Mazepin was basically like, I gotta do better here.
Right.
Like, this is where I gotta deliver.
The stakes are high in Russia because it's the Russian Grand Prix. They're the Russian family. And so it's Sochi. And this is really all we kind of get of that Sochi race. Another, me as of now having watched the season, like, you're gonna skip you're not gonna show the Lando disaster in Sochi. But
that was incredible. They didn't show that. But
in Sochi, we all know that it rained in Sochi this year. But what we didn't know is that the clouds are different. And we sometimes gave titles to episodes, and but if we were going to title this episode, I would call this episode Nikita Knows the Clouds. Because basically Schumacher's out. He gets out early.
Reliability
issues, which also is another thing where I'm like, was it a reliability issue, or was Haas did Haas just pull in Schumacher because they're like, we need to make Nikita feel good and we can't have Schumacher beating him? But anyway, during this he's looking, towards the end of the race.
His car fell down some fucking stairs.
Yeah, he's caught up. Yeah, he got an accident, okay? Yeah. It was a broken elevator, all right?
Yeah.
And he's looking at the clouds, and they're really framing this like, wow, like, what an innovative, brilliant move by Nikita. And he says that, the clouds in Russia are different. The clouds in Russia, they just hit different, fam. And I just know that these...
And I remember as a boy, I would see those clouds and I'd be like, it's going to rain in 20 minutes.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, for sure. Whatever floats your boat, Nikita. And he comes in early. He comes in early.
You heard the radio. You hear a bunch of people.
Yep.
Especially Lando. It's like, hey, you want tires? Fuck off!
No!
They're
not coming in!
And Nikita's like, give me the fucking tires. Give me the tires. They're like, are you sure? He's like, yeah, give me the tires. And there's the great moment in the race where, like, he made the wrong decision, where, like, Nikita Mazepin's passing everybody.
Right.
Like, Nikita Mazepin's just on a fucking flyer because and that's how you made the mistake.
Right.
I think he unlapped himself with I think it was Lando or maybe even Hamilton. But anyway.
Yeah. Well, it's one of these things where, like, he's unlapping himself, but the fact it's like when you watch that as a fan, you're just like, the only thing you're paying attention to is like Lando going off, Vettel going off, like all these people, and you're like, oh, some other car is passing, but you're like, oh, it's the Haas car, who gives a fuck?
No, but when he's unlapping himself, you realize, oh my God, this is how slow they're going.
Yes. That
Mazepin's that gives you a reference point for how disastrous this decision was.
Right. And it's a bit of this victorious moment for him, but then they're like you beat. They say on the radio, I
can't believe they said you beat Mick.
They're like, you beat Mick and Latifi, but Latifi also had a DNF.
Really?
Yes. So he just got in last place. He was the last of the people that were on the track. He was the last one. The other guys that he beat were people that just didn't finish the race. They were just out.
The TV didn't finish.
I don't think so. Wow. Let me make sure, but I'm pretty sure that Latifi didn't finish. Sochi 2021.
Cut this.
Yeah,
down.
Latifi didn't finish. Latifi did. It was a DNF.
God. And then he went
at 47 laps in. So like around the time of the rain, but he didn't finish. It was a DNF for Latifi. And Nikita got 18th. He got lapped twice. He got lapped twice. I mean, he was plus 2 laps. Sonoda was plus Nikita 1
goes,
lap.
But then he goes, good call on those tires then, huh? Fishing like fucking with one of those trawler nets, fishing for compliments.
Right. Yeah. And after this, it's kind of this like, okay, like Dimitri's not going to pull out of the team. Little does he know that there's going to be a fucking war that they start, and Haas is going to kick them out in not that many months later. But this is their little moment of Haas victory, is that Nikita finished a race and felt kind of okay.
Dude, it fucking did the thing. Sorry, my mic got disconnected, guys. So we were talking about I used some Scotch tape. So
it's a very Haas solution
yes,
to this problem, which is fitting because we're on the Haas episode. But let's end this fucking. So the episode ends.
Let's end this misery. Actually, we call it podcasting tape.
It's Nikita's glory of finishing in last, and they show Gunther finally reaching the top of this mountain.
And he goes, "You'll be stronger next year." How strong? I don't know. Honestly, couldn't have been written better by a fucking comedy writer.
Yeah. Yeah, and it ends in that, and they do this like epic, like, drone shot of Gunther on the top of the mountain where there's a huge cross, but it's kind of like this thing where it's like he's feeling victorious, but it looks like he's being crucified. It's like the imagery is a little bit strange. So yeah, that's the Haas episode. I fucking liked this. I loved that episode. I thought it was great.
It was a fucking classic.
It was a fucking classic. Just Gunther being amazing, nonstop great television.
Yeah,
and so then
honestly better than any of the Red Bull Mercedes stuff, probably.
and so then we have one team principal who we love, and we're going into episode 5, and Gunther just brilliantly hands the baton to another absolute fucking gem of a character in Formula One, and he hands it to Zach motherfucking Brown. And it's where we got the McLaren, the Monza episode. This is going to be the Monza episode, and we got Zach Brown, and he's playing ice hockey.
But they also cut it with Daniel doing like fucking motocross.
Right, it's the summer break, and Daniel's kind of like he's in LA, of course, he's in LA, and he's hanging with this guy who does like dirt biking, and he's talking to him about that he's had a bad first half of the season, and he wants to get something going for the second half of the season. He's on these like, it's like not even like regular dirt bikes, they're like they're like these like little mini bikes, and the guy's just kind of like
BMX dirt bikes,
but not even. It's like they're like tiny. They're like whatever.
Well, BMX bikes are small.
Okay, well yeah. So and he's just getting out of his head. He's taking some time to figure out where he's at because he wants to hit the second half of the season running. And
I gotta say though, I love when they show them do it. Like, so Gunther's climbing a mountain, Carlos is spearfishing.
Mm-hmm.
They're driving around. Like, it shows like what these guys do in their free time.
Right,
and they're always doing like this cool like shit. Brian, like, if they were doing a Drive to Survive episode about us, what would we be doing? Just like stuffing our face somewhere.
Yeah.
Like fucking eating like bar food.
Yeah.
It's like, actually, can we get the calamari? Calamari looks good. Yeah.
Yeah, I had some fried onions last night that were unbelievable. Went to this place, Vic in NoHo, and they had this like flatbread garlic bread that was so so good. And they had these like, it wasn't like fried onions. It was like these, it wasn't onion rings, but then you dip them in this like hollandaise sauce, and it was really maybe one of the best things I've ever eaten in my entire life. It would be
you, me, Billy Green, just fucking demolishing some onion rings.
Yes, and then our other friend, nachos. And then our other friend would be there, and he'd be crying. But we're not going to name him. So we got episode 5. Yeah. So, but you know, we see what Zach Brown's doing in his off season, and you know, he might be the CEO of McLaren F1 and McLaren Motorsport. But he's carrying his own bag, his own little hockey bag up these.
I was like,
steps.
Is that a millionaire carrying a fucking hockey bag, which is heavy as shit, up a fucking flight of steps?
Yeah, and he's plays in this like rec league,
men's league hockey,
men's rec hockey league.
And you know, old guys do this shit.
Yeah,
I had an ex whose dad like is like in his. He's in his 60s and he still fucking plays with young men.
Yeah.
And he's like, you know, bigger and older than most. You see these guys like racing around the ice, like going 500 miles an hour, like guys who look like they probably played D1 or something, or just getting out. And then you see Zach being like, it's occurring to me that I'm old. And then you just cut to him eating shit like nobody touches him, and he just falls on his fucking ass.
Yeah, but he does score a goal. He did score a goal.
Does score a goal.
You know that he was like, I gotta fucking score a goal.
I wonder if they have like an old shift.
Yeah, they must. It didn't look like these guys were that. It was like the guys that like the other guys are asking him about like, so what's going on in the Formula, you know, so you're going against who? Ferrari? He's like, yeah, we're going against Ferrari.
You think they probably have like a young shift and a fucking old man shift. And old man shift.
Totally.
That's probably how they do it.
Yeah, it's just like he's adorable. I just love him.
Yeah, and then so they set up Monza, and Bonotto goes, Ferrari doesn't just race to participate, they race to win. And I wrote, really? Because all they fucking talk about is how long they participated.
Yeah. True.
Like, you can't have it both ways, bro.
Yeah, you can't have both
ways.
Stop
talking about how many consecutive years you've been in the sport.
Right.
The fucking Lakers don't do that. The fucking Yankees don't do that. They just they just talk about the rings.
Yeah, we're here to win, but for years on end, you were being paid $90 million a year for your participation.
Yes.
Which is more than you would be getting if you won the whole thing. So what are we really talking about when we talk about how Ferrari's here to win, not there to participate?
So yeah, give back all of your participation money. I also want to say that it's probably very, very safe to assume that Bonotto and his PR team listen to this podcast and realize that they probably should change tactics. So, yeah.
And also that if Ferrari wants this podcast to stop at any point, they can pay us $90 million to do so. So, yeah, that's the mono.
You know, I would stop the podcast if they just paid us as like consultants on their brand.
Uh-huh.
What about like a 5-year, multi-year contract?
Or
we're like, don't do that. That's lame. Just like, don't. No.
Right.
No,
don't.
You can't.
Where we're like, is that really? They're gonna look like McDonald's workers. They're gonna look like they work at the drive-thru at McDonald's.
Yeah.
Don't put that black strip in the middle of the thing. Above their chest.
Yes.
What is that? Yeah, I mean, you know, we're open to that. So if someone Ferrari, I know that you're all listening. So if you wanna hit us up and get us to consult for you, we'd be open. We'd be open to a negotiation. Let's just say that. Yes, we're at the Monza episode, and we're going into again the psyche of the rift between Daniel and Lando, and there's this great. It's subtle, but there's this moment where they're at a meeting, a little team meeting with the press team and whatever, and they ask Daniel if he wants to sit next to Lando.
I didn't catch this.
Okay, they're like, Dan, you want to sit next to Lando? And then Daniel kind of like looks at someone and he gives this like very subtle like, nah, like I'm not sitting next to him. I don't want to sit next to that guy. And he goes and he sits and another chair. And it's like, it was easy to miss, but it was just kind of like, yeah, they don't fuck with each other. And it's during this conversation where they have that little argument, that little bickering about how many times that Lando's crashed.
Oh, that was incredible.
Yeah, they're like arguing about how many shunts Lando's had, because Lando's kind of bragging that he like doesn't have any, you know, he's like,
I was like, yeah, way to fucking do it, Lando. You're fucking jinxing the fuck out of yourself.
Well, I think this was after his shunt in Spa during quali.
Couldn't have been.
No, I think it was. I think it was like that's what prompted it, because this is before Monza, which was after. That was after Spa.
Right.
And
but then how could he have said he's never crashed?
I think that he was like, well, that's my one.
Right.
He's like, I don't crash. Like, that was my one crash. Like, I don't do that often.
Right.
And then Daniel's like, well, what about this one? And Lando was like, that wasn't really a crash. And that wasn't a crash. And he's like, well, you went into the wall, right? He's like, yeah, but like it was just like some damage to the front wing. And Daniel's like, okay, right. that's a crash.
He's like, agree to disagree.
Yeah. Okay, it's a crash, you little fucker. Yeah. And you know what? I just like, I watch it. I'm just like, Lando's such a little fucker, but I love him. I just love him.
I think just tapping the wall and losing your wing is not the same as like
totally
like the new car.
Yeah, like totaling your it's like a fucking fender bender versus a fucking full totaling of your car.
Are you calling insurance or not?
Exactly. Or can we handle this? Can we handle this right now between can we handle this right now?
Yeah.
So let's not bring in the insurance companies. I don't want my premiums to go up.
Yeah, exactly.
And I know that
a front wing is no insurance involved.
Yeah. There was a moment in the I think it was in the earlier McLaren episode, but where they're talking about how the discrepancy between Daniel's performance and Lando's performance, and Zach Brown's kind of talking about Daniel's been struggling, but like, who knows, maybe that's just how good Lando is. And he just like has this, he's so titillated at the thought that maybe Lando's just so amazing and that's what's happening, that he's like, he puts on this like shit-eating grin after he like kind of digests that thought that like maybe it's just Lando's amazing, because Lando, as we know, is Zach Brown's son.
Right. Well, it's his way of soothing himself to the fact that he might have made a bad signing.
Right. It's like, I might have made a bad signing, but it made a great signing.
Yeah.
With Lando Norris, and I locked him up for a multi-year deal after this.
Right. He goes, I made such a good signing in Lando that it's making my other signing in Daniel look bad.
Right.
Yeah. So
which
could be true.
Which could be true. So then we're getting to Monza, and there is this air. I know that like we talked about how Christian's kind of like poking at Daniel, but Christian's also like going to bat for Daniel. He's doing all this like Daniel Ricciardo emotional labor of being like, Daniel, like, he's not out yet. Like, he's still a great driver. Like, he still has it in him. Like, let's not count him out yet. And there's this little, like, this consortium of people that are, like, wanting to prove that they made good on the Daniel thing. One of which, who seems to be very, like, committed to it, is the team principal, Andrea Seidel, who's, like, he's like, no, we're going to prove all these fuckers wrong. And he really seems, like, committed to it, and maybe he doesn't fuck with Land. It almost felt like he's like
no, they just all want the Carlos and Charles situation,
right,
where they look like it's like they've got two really good drivers. It makes them look good,
right?
They've got two drivers who are maximizing the car, and they're getting the most out of the car as they physically can.
Right.
They don't want a situation where one driver's killing the other driver.
Yeah.
That means that they're underperforming. I mean, if they had a Charles and Carlos situation, they would have came in third probably.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, if Daniel had been able to take the car earlier, yes, and if they would have been able to do that, they would have really built that big lead.
Yeah,
in the beginning, early,
yes.
and then the Ferrari late push wouldn't have put them over the edge.
Right.
Yeah, but this is when we have that Daniel the Bee Gees moment.
Yep.
The Daniel's kind of like he's gonna like Monza's gonna be the spot. I think they also knew this is that's a McLaren track, because in the same way that like it's built for that Mercedes, it's good for that Mercedes engine. They're like a straight line speed. That's a straight line speed car, as opposed to, they've talked about that when it came to the Mercedes at Monaco being, the tight corners doesn't work as well. Whereas like for the Red Bull, like it's better for that type of car. You don't need that straight line speed.
Yeah, but Ferrari, they also have Ferrari in there, like as a villain. Like Ferrari wants to win it.
Right.
Monza as well, because it's their home race,
and they're their main rivals, and it's like,
but how Ferrari muffs it, and Leclerc is just helping Leclerc helping the DTS editing when he goes, "It's a disaster, fuck." Because I think Leclerc went off.
Yeah,
and then Lando gets fourth in qualifying, and Daniel gets fifth, and then Zach Brown goes, "Yeah." And I like there's so many shots in this series of Zach Brown just going, "Yeah." And I'm like, are they using the same clip, or does he just say it 100,000 times? He's literally like Dave Chappelle in the Lil Jon sketch. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, like he just says yeah all the time. Yeah.
I think when I was watching, I was like, are they just using that same clip over and over again? Which maybe,
no,
but
I don't think it is.
I don't think it is.
I think he just says yeah. And then
he doesn't know what to do with all of his pure exuberance.
Yes, and then and then after Lando is doing well, he out-qualifies Daniel, but they both do well. Lando has like got the shit-eating grin when he says, "The pressure's on Daniel, really on Daniel right now," and he's got this full smile, and I'm like, this is like S&M. The amount of pleasure that Lando gets from Daniel suffering,
right?
This corny fucking boomer,
right?
In Lando's eyes,
totally. Well, Lando's Gen Z. He's like this corny, and Daniel he's full millennial vibes, but like old millennial. My sister and her friend. Like he's like my sister. He doesn't get.
Like he's got live, laugh, love fucking mugs.
Exactly.
Like super chuggy.
Yeah. He's like playing. He's like listening to like a Tupac, and he's listening to Biggie. And he's like, "Aren't they awesome?" And he's like, "No, I don't listen to that shit." It's like A Tribe Called Quest. You like A Tribe Called Quest? And Lando's like, I've never heard of that. Don't listen to that. Listen to Justin Bieber.
But and then you have the sprint race, which is, I wrote, the least controversial and best thing that's ever happened to F1. And that's when Daniel says the thing about someone should fucking shoot this DJ. This DJ should be fucking caught.
Yeah. What song was playing? Was it Staying Alive? It was Staying Alive.
And I'm like, dude, the song's not for you. It's for the fucking. It's a fucking perfect song for the people like filing into the stadium.
Right.
Yeah, and then the sprint race happens, and Daniel does he does Daniel things. He fucking jumps Lando and I think a bunch of people.
Yeah, and he gets into well, it's interesting. I also saw this as a critique. They say that Max won the sprint race, but if you remember, Max didn't win the sprint race. Bottas won the sprint race.
But then he got moved back.
But he had to take a penalty. So he didn't start in first. So Max started in first, but he actually got second in the sprint. But it was just like, that was a little like Drive to Survive. Like, what are we really going to explain that like it actually Bottas won it? But he had a penalty, so he had to, like, who gives? It doesn't matter.
I don't care.
For the storytelling, we need Max is in first, Daniel's in second. So like, we're just going to say that Max won. Right, and I'm like, I don't give a shit. I don't care that like people are like being a little like salty about that. It's like, who cares? Doesn't fucking matter. Because at the end of the day, that's not the story they're telling. It doesn't really even matter within most any context.
Max crashes, and isn't there a crash in the sprint race?
No, Max doesn't crash.
Someone crashes.
Well, no, Gasly.
Right.
Gasly crashes in the sprint.
Uh.
Anyway, then it's fucking Monza. I mean, it's the thrilling kind of like the case of Monza. I kind of liked the fact that I was okay with that they just showed the Max and Lewis crash, and they didn't like go crazy into it and like the intricacies of how it happened. I know that like they didn't say that like they both had bad pit stops. Like Max and Lewis.
No, that was amazing. I mean, they blew the whole fact that like the race was over, and then they had bad pit stops, and then it was like fate brought them together.
Right.
That was all great. And then I just need at some point I need like someone like Karun Chandok to just fucking slow everything down. Like this is whose fault it was.
Uh-huh.
And just get out the diagrams and just explain it to me.
Right.
And then Max goes, "That's what you get when you don't leave the space." And I'm like, "This is so great." He's not interviewed. Like all we get are these fucking little ciphers of information.
But can I say, I think it's kind of weird. I thought that it was a weak choice to not say in the thing that Max like said that he wouldn't do Drive to Survive. I wanted them to be like Max refused to be interviewed for this. Did you care at all about that?
I mean, anything that would make this fucking thing shorter is fine. We all knew that he wasn't in it. It was announced that he wouldn't be in it, but yeah.
Max, I thought that would have been kind of like it would have been a slutty choice for them to be like Max doesn't want to be a part of our show. So we're gonna show you him like in these other ways.
Don't worry, we can manipulate this without him.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
They used a lot of VO from Max like repeatedly, like the young gun versus the new guy, proper battle.
Right.
Saying a proper battle, wheel to wheel, banging.
Right.
Then he's like the shark and Jaws. They crash.
Right. He's the shark and Jaws. They crash, and so it's Daniel's out in front, and now these he doesn't have to worry about the two top. The two guys he needs to worry about are no longer.
Well, that was easy. Staples button.
And yeah, and it gave some new context, I think, a little bit to when we heard it on the radio, which was when Lando, gets in P2 and he's behind Daniel, and he's like, "Okay, so like Daniel's going kind of slow, like, sure." And they're like, "No, like
sure this is best for us."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Yeah." Daniel was not giving that plays out.
Though I just would have loved to have seen it. Would have loved to see them battle it out. Would have been tight. As long as they didn't crash into each other. Can you imagine? Can you imagine they battled it out and Lando had passed Daniel?
That wouldn't have happened.
Woo!
I mean, Daniel's putting them both in the hospital. Are you kidding me? And then they interviewed Christian about a heart of a champion and like Daniel's attitude and how he finally came through.
Mm-hmm.
And then they cut to Gunther speaking about it. I'm like, why are we cutting to Gunther weighing in on Daniel's fucking winning mentality? I understand why Christian speaks on it, but like just getting Gunther to be like, yeah, see the thing about Daniel, and
right.
But then we get and then one of the worst things about COVID, I think, is seeing a bunch of awkward management guys having to do the fist bump.
Yep.
I'm like, dude, just risk COVID. I can't be watching all these guys.
I can't watch the elbow thing anymore. I can't watch.
Just fucking dap them. Do the dap, shake the hand. You guys can't. Too many fist bumps.
Right.
It's the worst.
You're all getting tested out the fucking ass. You're getting tested out the wazoo with this fucking thing. You're getting tested probably like multiple times every week.
Other than the obvious things, it's the worst thing that's come out of COVID. Then we get Zach getting a tat, which is insane.
Yes. Well, now that's too high end. I mean, Zach's not a team principal, but he's
higher than a team principal.
Right, he's CEO. He's got Cyril and Zach Brown both have Daniel Ricciardo tattoos. I mean,
he's like a fucking venereal disease with tattoos. And then he's getting the Monza thing. He's getting Monza track on his fucking
shoulder,
pale arm.
Yeah.
And then that's never seen the sun. That arm has never seen the sun.
Yeah.
And then he had that great line. He goes, "They say you get addicted to getting tattoos." He's like, "Not me. Not me."
They're like, "What about when Lando wins his first one?" And he's like, "I'll get him. So I'll do something else. I'm not doing this shit." Which I'm like, damn. You know that as I think maybe in that context, probably Lando's relieved. He's like, I don't want. He wouldn't have done. He wouldn't have want. Like Lando would have been like, no, you're gonna get a tattoo.
Yeah, and it would have been of Lando's face. It would have been so much weird. His Lando tattoo would have been weirder.
It would have been like when Rex Ryan got the Mark Sanchez tattoo. Do you remember that?
That was so weird.
So weird.
But he said it wasn't Mark Sanchez.
But it was like a green jersey with the number 6.
With his number. Yeah,
with his number.
Crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that was an epic episode. I mean, it also, it's like, they're building up Daniel Ricciardo. That was it's a good season. Talk about not really, I didn't leave the season being like, Daniel won, but I think that they certainly, the narrative they put, it was like they had him losing, and then they have him in this victorious moment, and that's the narrative for the season when it comes to McLaren.
Even though they got 4th, but yeah,
even though they got 4th, and they kind of dropped the Ferrari McLaren battle that they kind of like half talk about. Yeah, so that's episode motherfucking 5, and I want to say that this episode is brought to you by Flags for Good. That's right. We have a sponsor. You heard it last time. We're fucking doing it again. Okay, baby. Matt, what is Flags for Good?
Flags for Good is a flag company that only makes flags for causes that they believe in, Brian.
Yeah.
That's it. So you know, so like if you could buy a Biden flag from one company, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's also making Trump flags, or you could buy, you know, a gay rights flag,
right?
That from a company that's also making flags that you know are protecting the sanctity of marriage, right?
Right. You could buy a Mercedes engine from someone who's also providing a Mercedes engine to another team. This isn't the corrupt world of Formula One, okay, baby? This is the fucking flag world where where it's all about what you believe in. And we all know that Formula One doesn't really fucking stand for anything. But you know what? I know that you listeners, you don't want to be like that. You want to fucking stand for something. So why don't you fucking stand for something and buy a flag from flagsforgood.com, because they donate a portion of every single sale to causes that move humanity in the right direction. It's a small business, okay? This is okay. I won't say that this
guy. We've met this guy.
We've met this guy, okay? And I won't say that this is a Haas operation, but you know what? Maybe in the 2022 season, maybe we consider it a Haas operation, because you know what? There's the big flag. That's the Ferraris. Those are the Mercedes. But you know, this is a fucking Williams organization. This is a family-run company. We met the head of it. He started this during COVID. He's a fucking good dude. It's a small business that's run out of the owner's house, and you can visit flagsforgood.com to get full-size flags, garden flags, and stickers, and you get 10% off of your first purchase at flagsforgood.com by using the code REDFLAGS, all one word with an S, and you can buy a fucking flag. Why don't you fucking stand up for something for once in your goddamn life, you pieces of shit to listen to this podcast.
And do not buy a flag without using the code, because we do not get any credit for that.
We're
all about credit here.
Yeah, we're all about credit. We're all about making more money in the future. And if you guys buy flags, then we get more money, which is what this whole thing is actually always about.
No. You know, and while other teams are being sponsored by a Ramco, and Uralkai, and all these shitty companies, we're sponsored by a really good company. That isn't to say if Aramco didn't want to give us a shitload of money to sponsor them, we totally would. But this is a really good company that's doing really good things, and you know, support Ukraine, support Black Lives Matter, support gay rights, women's rights. They do it all.
They do it all, and you know what? They make some good make some good content. They found us on TikTok, so you can follow them at Flags for Good on TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram for all your high quality flag content. That's flagsforgood.com. Use the promo code Red Flags. Fuck yeah, baby, we're fucking official now. Let's get into episode 6.
Okay, let me just pee.
Okay. Damn, you pee every 3 seconds.
Yeah, well, I have a weak bladder.
So, episode 6. This is the Williams episode. And you know what? I wasn't expecting much going into it. I was kind of like, okay, Williams.
I was hating it when it started.
When it started, I was like, okay, we're gonna go down this rabbit hole again. I don't really care. There's like where, it's just I always just feel depressed when I watch the Williams episodes.
Especially they brought back Claire Williams back from the dead.
And I said this in the last episode, but like, Claire is just. She's just been like, Formula One has just like broken her. She's got the like different haircut, and she's just kind of like, fuck, like this world is just absolutely fucking brutal.
They also, but you didn't expect to see her. She came back from the dead, which we're now calling it Kevin Magnussen, by the way.
When you come back,
oh my god, she's back! I thought you were dead. And you're like, is she back? And it's like, no, we're just bringing her back to just fucking kill her more.
Yeah. For her to talk about her death, for her to talk about her murder. Yeah. So she's there, and she's talking about how
she was okay with stepping down.
At one point, she's like, I'm happy. Yeah. They leave it on the classic Drive to Survive hold. And they're like, she's like, I was happy to do it. Hold the camera. Watch her face sink. Gulp.
They always gulp.
It's always like, say something that they don't mean. Hold the camera. Gulp. That is the Drive to Survive path to success. And
then they're like, all right, enough. All right, fuck her. Now let's meet this exciting weird guy, Joss Capito.
Yes.
Honestly, I'm excited for this guy. I
fucking love this guy.
This guy shows a lot of promise.
I'm obsessed with him.
A lot of promise.
Yeah. So
kind of quirky, weird energy, slightly problematic.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, so Williams has been sold. The family company has been sold to this investment firm that's in New York. What's it called? Like Darlington, something like that.
It sounds rich as fuck.
Yeah,
Darlington.
Like Darlington,
yeah.
And it's an investment firm, and they bought the company. They see the potential in the Williams name. I don't think they want to change the Williams name because it has the history and the name in motorsport. And they bring in this rally car guy. He's like a rally car dude. He's gritty. And he's like, he's not afraid of taking some chances. And his name is Yos Capito, or Yos Capito.
He's got big fucking balls.
And he's got big fucking balls. And he's talking about it's the amazing, insane soundbite where he's talking about like getting the head of a driver, and that it's such a mental game. And he was coaching some guy, one of his drivers on one of his rally car teams. And I guess when you do rally, you have like another guy. You have two guys. You have one guy driving the car, one person. Guy means all genders, okay? So you have one person driving the car, and then the other person who is like navigating, telling them, brake here, hit this at this, get up to this speed. We got a thing coming up on the right, blah, blah, blah. And the driver's like in his head, not doing well, whatever. And Yost tells the other guy to squeeze his balls, to squeeze his nuts, and just to get him out of his head. And it's like, oh yeah, remember, you still have balls. Now go do your fucking job. And I was like, this guy's crazy. And he's like, that's what you got to do.
It's like in 40-Year-Old Virgin. No, it's Knocked Up, or it's one of those fucking
Judd Apatow
movies. He's like, did you flick me in the nuts? He's like, no, I flicked you where your nut in the fleshy patch where your nuts used to be. It's like that kind of energy.
Right. It's like his advice is just like, give him a titty twister. Remember a 5-star? Give him a 5-star.
Yeah, oh my God, those are.
That's where you smack someone in the back so hard that you see all 5 fingers. It looks like a star with 5 points.
A titty twister or a purple nurple.
Yeah, purple nurple. Give him a fucking wet willy. He's just using like high school bully tactics to get his drivers to perform at a high level.
He told this story as an executive. This is my leadership style. Aren't I a great manager?
Yeah.
This is a story of my great management ability.
Yes.
This is the one thing he wants you to know about him.
Truly. And you're like, okay, we're in for something different. Like this is going to be, there's a different energy at Williams this year. And it was interesting because like I wasn't aware of this guy during the season because my focus wasn't on Williams this year. And when I was thinking back on the year that Williams had and some of the stuff that they did, I was like, they had a risk taker. Like we talked on this pod about the risks that Williams took, especially during qualifying this year. And we see that played out during this episode. And, you know, at one point, George says something to the effect of like, you know, in the past years, we were just focused on survival. And now that we have some security, we can be focused
paying
on
rent.
Like, yeah, exactly. We don't have to be focused. It's like, you know, the Gunther Steiner of it all is that like when you're just focused on just getting through, then you don't want it to even take risks. But when you have some stability, you can actually start taking some risks and taking some chances and get some shit done.
Well, they beat the brakes off of Alfa Romeo, so
right.
Who have 2 drivers who are not paid drivers.
Right.
They're saddled with one. They're saddled with Latifi.
Totally. And this is also as it's the Yost Capito's episode, it's also the George Russell episode.
Oh my God. I need a minute. I need a minute. I wrote George Russell wanting to be a star here.
Yes.
He is so fucking thirsty.
He's so thirsty in this episode.
He goes, hey, good to see you guys. It didn't really feature me last year. I don't know if you saw that I gave you shit for not featuring me.
Right. On my social media accounts.
Yeah. He goes, they're like, we saw George. See, I don't know if you saw that there was hell to pay.
Yeah.
Including me.
And he goes, can I do the little, the clicky thing? The clicky thing? Can I do that? Is that allowed? I'd like to do the clicky thing. They're like, we'll get you
low status.
Yeah, they're like, we'll get you the clicky thing, George, so you can feel like you did something.
I guess George wants the thing.
Yeah, I wrote George really watches the show.
Yeah. And then he goes, I was barely in it this year. And I'm like, well, George, you're in it this year. And guess what? You're boring as shit. You're not even good.
Like, there's a reason you're not in it.
There's a reason you're not in it. I mean, we did get to see his ass in the briefs.
Right.
That was dope.
But even during that moment, there's a moment where we're watching George get changed for one of the races, and you see him in his underwear. I want to say, of course, those are George Russell's underwear. Of course, that's the underwear he wears. Like,
and it's crazy. The blue
with the green lines. The blue with the green lines. That is, it's such grown up middle school underwear. Like, just wear black or gray underwear. Wear black or gray underwear. Just have it be one like having designs on your underwear is childish. No designs on your underwear. You're a race car driver.
That's what I was gonna say. I was like, he's putting his racing. He's about to go racing in that underwear.
Right.
Where's your Under Armour? Because like Lando, when you saw Lando in he's got like full Under Armour.
Right. Yeah, no,
this is the fucking underwear I used to wear when I played middle school basketball. like no support, nothing.
Yeah, and they also say like he's like is this my Botas moment? Is this my Botas moment?
You watch every fucking.
Damn, you really watch the show. Like it's like stop referencing the other seasons of Drive to Survive, please. This is for us.
Cool for this.
This is for us. This is for
fucking
us. We're the losers.
Life.
We're the losers who watch the show.
Yeah.
You're the cool guy who's in the show. Stop talking about how much you watch the show.
You know what's crazy? The other thing that he does more than any other driver, which is so fucking lame, he's constantly talking about his girlfriend.
Yes.
He's like, "Oh, you just caught me with my missus."
Yeah.
And he's like, there's things with his like face on underwear, and it's like, yeah, I gotta send these. I sent these to my girlfriend as a gift. I wish I had a picture of her in her underwear. It's so like high school, like I fuck my girlfriend all the time energy.
Yeah, right.
So much sex with my fucking girlfriend.
Right. You're like,
that's something that we did in high school.
Yeah, right.
And then we stopped doing it.
Yeah, when we actually started having sex. When we actually started like growing up and having sex, you don't talk about how many times you've had sex.
He doth protest too much about his girlfriend.
Yeah.
God, my girlfriend's so hot. I just got finished fucking her.
Meanwhile, you know who's not saying anything about his girlfriend or wife, but should but it's Yost, because there's that epic moment where he's getting off his motorcycle. Yost is like coming into one of the races and he's on his fucking motorcycle.
Right.
Badass. And he takes off his helmet, and then there's another, his wife is with him, or his girlfriend, I'm not sure what their situation is, and she takes off her helmet and she's just like, it's like she's got her luscious blonde I'm like, holy shit. Yeah. Yost Cabot she looks like he's dating Pam Anderson.
Yeah.
I'm like, this guy's I'm obsessed with this guy. He rides a motorcycle to the race with his like gorgeous blonde wife. I love it. This guy's so American. I know he's not, but he's so American to me.
Yeah, George was like, he's very German. I was like, does this guy seem German to you?
No. Not at all.
I know.
He seems like he and Zach Brown would fucking like love each other.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, this is profiling like the kind of, Williams having like a rough start. They not
the long walk.
I love that. Yes, the long walk. That was
like,
great.
Holy shit, that's amazing.
That's such an amazing little detail of this world, is that, yeah, if depending on where you are, how well you place in the constructors, that determines where your like trailer is in the paddock. And if you're last on the fucking thing. You have to walk through you have to pass every single team that's better than you. It's a daily reminder of where you are and where you stand.
Walk of shame.
This walk of shame. I love that.
And I guess even for the short walks, Lewis always has a fucking scooter. He's never walking. Yeah. So this episode, we learned about that. George sucks. I wrote, okay, George, we've given you the ball. What the fuck are you doing with the ball? Nothing. Give Christian the ball again.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we just see that they're gambling. Gross is gambling. They're taking risks, and they're just edging us with the points. 11th, 12th.
Right.
Just missing.
Right. Yeah. George is getting closer and closer and closer, and then it gets to Hungary in the Hungarian Grand Prix.
The Bottas massacre.
Where Bottas was late on the brakes, locked up, took out like 5 cars all in one, and Latifi and George kind of skirt on by and make their way into like what, 8th and 9th. And
George is doing his full audition for Mercedes, being like, whatever you need to do to prioritize Nicky, just prioritize Nicky. Just compromise my race. You hear that?
Yeah.
Is Toto? Can Toto hear that? Can Toto hear that I'm a team player?
Yeah, truly.
Yeah.
Especially, was this before or after Imola?
I don't fucking. No, Imola was early.
Wasn't it? Because that's where the crash happens, right? That's where he and Bottas have their run in
with him and Bottas,
right?
Yeah.
So it's interesting to think, because they talk about later that like that was that's its own thing. And there's probably an element of that, which is that like that was they talk about how that was an example of George not being a team player and being like a salty little diva. And so when you think about George being like, prioritize Nikki, it's like, see, I can be a good boy. I can be a good boy, Master Toto. I can do whatever you need me to do.
I don't know if George is as high in the pussy rankings now.
Yeah, the pussy. If
he was high in John's pussy rankings, I would put him. I think he talks about like how he loves eating pussy and how his approach to eating pussy. But I think when the pussy is presented, he just faints.
He talks a big game.
The lights.
He gets overwhelmed.
The lights are too hot. They're too bright for him.
Yeah. I could see that. Yeah, there's a great. You were talking about how Leclerc has all the best sound bites.
Yes,
but in this, I'd never heard this before. But during the Potos massacre, when Leclerc gets tagged by Stroll,
right?
He goes, they fucked me. I was like, oh my God.
Leclerc is the best.
He's the best.
He's the best at the radios.
He wins the radio. He wins the
radio award. Always.
Mm-hmm.
It's so passionate and evocative.
Yeah.
And he just says exactly what it is.
Totally.
They fucked me.
They fucked me. I was like, whoa, okay. For sure. For absolute sure, King.
Because he's not that interesting when he's interviewed, but on the radio he's amazing.
Right. Well, being interviewed require when we had Michaela on and we were talking about the the astrology of it all, and she was like, he's all fire. He's like, he's unfocused raw energy. And an interview requires focus and measured thoughts. And that's that's not his game. That's not what he does. That's Carlos Sainz's game. That's not Leclerc's game. So then we show we see them getting their first points of the year and their first points in 3 years, because they've been, finishing last. They've just been eating shit. And George has been, and we talked a little bit of shit, but about George, but we all saw the clips when he's crying after that race, and he did put a lot of time and effort into Williams, and for them to finally get some stuff going on and for there to be some light at the end of their tunnel.
He's a fucking dork. I was so over him.
Yeah,
I needed. I liked him when he was crying when I saw it on TV, but all this bullshit about him, fucking, you didn't feature me.
I know. It was very cringe. I gotta say, Latifi was looking like a snack in this episode. He was looking like some yogurt that his family makes. I was digging. We get into the little bit of that other stuff later, but in this episode I was digging me some Latifi. I was like, Latifi's looks like he's got it going on right now. So that's the episode. That's the Williams
episode 6. We did that one.
Did it? Boom. No one can say that we didn't do it. And now we're getting to episode 7. This is gonna be our last episode of this part 2 of our 3-part Drive to Survive recap.
Holy shit, kill me.
We're doing this all in one sitting. It's gonna literally, our entire Sunday is gone. It's insane. Okay. So we're getting to episode 7. And this is a fucking good one.
Yeah.
And this one's got it going on.
This one I'm calling We Told You Yuki Slaps. We told you Yuki is the shit.
Yeah.
Yuki opens with Yuki talking about how he dreams of F1 in parentheses so he can open a restaurant. And then they also try to rope in Ocon.
Yeah, well, they're trying.
If I was a producer, I'd just be like, "Hey, I see some strategic cuts we can make here."
Yeah, maybe we
no,
don't.
But that's how it works. They always do too.
They always do that. They always do the 2. but not all two are created equal. And when you compare,
but it didn't
Yuki
really
to
work
Ocon.
because like Tsunoda fucking like Ocon won, and Tsunoda, what did he do exactly in this episode?
Right. Well, he had in the race that they're profiling, because didn't Tsunoda have a good? He also had a good race at Hungary, right? It was like a good finish for him. Basically, in the race where all where everyone got fucked.
He saved it. He spun and he saved it.
He spun and he saved it. But it's like basically in the episode in the race where both Red Bulls were fucked, one Mercedes was fucked, the other Mercedes, like Hamilton kind of fucked himself and had to make his way in from last. Like when all and one of the Ferraris was fucked. Everyone's like, what an amazing race for us. Yeah. We did so great. It's like, well, yeah, you weren't in the front of the field where everyone crashed and the races all got comp. And McLaren, Lando was out. It's just like a race where all the good cars were out is the race where they show all the bad cars being like, we really did something today, guys. It's like, okay, well, not really.
And the highlight is Yuki spinning and saving it, which honestly looked sick.
Yeah, so this is the Yuki Tsunoda episode, and it's just a fucking. I mean, you just gotta love Yuki. I mean, there's just nothing to not love about Yuki. And in one of the earlier episodes, Checo is like, that guy's awesome. About Yuki's just kind of like walking by, and he's like, so he is, and Checo's like, that guy's the shit, man. And I was like, I love that. Yes, like he is. He's just, I'm obsessed with him.
He's got great energy. And then Buxton calls him a little pocket rocket.
Yes,
everyone's fucking infantilizing this guy.
And
making comments about his size.
Right, and our producer Jenny has made a point here. They call him the Pocket Rocket, which is the name of a very popular vibrator.
Never mind. I think it's great. Then.
Jenny writes, "Why does everyone call Yuki a Pocket Rocket? Do they not know there's a vibrator called the Pocket Rocket? I'm concerned."
Maybe he gets it. Maybe because he fucking does that work.
Because he does that work, baby. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe he needs to be a little bit higher on John's list.
Yes.
And we're seeing like the Yuki's lifestyle, and I guess I didn't know this, but all the Red Bull Junior drivers, they all live in this like shitty little town in England that like is and Yuki's
and
like
Buxton's like people who live in Milton Keynes don't want to live in Milton Keynes.
Yeah, that was
Yuki
amazing.
Goes, it's the most boring place in the world. And then he's got the messiest apartment.
Yeah.
Like and his friend who's like an F3 driver, is like, God damn it, like cleaning this place up. And he's walking past a place in England that I've been to. It's like like they love this place. It's called Pizza Express.
Yeah.
Pizza Express is their best pizza place. They don't even cut the pizza for you.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, you go there and they give you a slab of pizza.
That's
like
awful.
in a circle. And you have to fucking cut it yourself.
Oh, God.
Isn't that horrible?
That's horrible.
And then we see him eating fish and chips.
Uh-huh.
And then my girlfriend who's English was like not paying attention, just doing her thing. And then she sees Yuki eating the mushy peas.
Yeah.
And she stops.
Mm-hmm.
And she watches him chewing. Like it's very important.
Yeah.
Like, what is this foreign man gonna say about my culture? He makes a face and he goes, it's good. And she's like, good. And then she goes about her day.
back to business as usual.
Yes. Back to ignoring Drive to Survive.
Yeah, and there's a kind of they're showing Yuki, Yuki's just breaking stereotypes left and right. His messy ass apartment. He's on the radio just being a complete like unmeasured hothead.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a kind of interesting point where it's like, like Yuki has been around mechanics his whole life. And that's how he's like learned English is like in a fucking garage. Yeah. So like, what he knows, it's like in the going 150 miles an hour, what's coming out is fucking shit, fuck, shit, fuck, shit, fuck, shit. this car fucking sucks. I hate this fucking car. And the hothead of of Yuki, and I mean, we can get to basically like he's not having a great go. He keeps spinning out. He's fucking up during quali.
Yeah.
Even Gazzy's like it's been an expensive early season for him. Like he keeps crashing the fucking car. And they do this.
He calls him expensive. He goes, Yuki's expensive.
Right. Because every time you crash those, I mean, every time you slam into the barriers, it's like how many?
And then Franz Tots, who seems like a no bullshit guy.
Mm-hmm.
He calls Yuki a lazy dog. Could you imagine if like Greg Popovich called like Kawhi Leonard a lazy dog? Like it's so wild. The things he's a lazy dog.
Yeah. They're all ragging on Yuki. And you know, it's interesting because what they do, and I didn't know that they did this, but they're like, you're getting out of Milton Keyes, you're moving to Italy, and you're gonna
keep our eye on you.
You're gonna live on a farm, and we're gonna dictate your whole and we're gonna dictate your whole life.
You know what it reminds me of?
Regiment. You're gonna be on a schedule. You're not gonna have your free time is gonna be, there is no free time. Your free time is our time.
You know what it is?
What?
It's the same thing as like when Joel Embiid came into the NBA for Philly. And he had all the like back problems and he had like foot problems. He was kind of they had him on ice for a couple of years when they drafted him, and he just was not motivated because he wasn't playing and he didn't care, and he kind of had this carefree attitude. And they tried to whatever hotel they were in, they tried to put like all these healthy foods in his fridge. And he was just ballooning. He was gaining all this weight. And they found out that wherever they would go, he would just call room service and order pictures of Shirley Temples.
Really?
Yes, he was ordering pictures of Shirley Temple. And,
oh my God,
Philly
that's so
fans
funny.
were going crazy because this big man, they thought he looked like such a bust because he couldn't get on the court, and he was like 350 pounds.
Yeah.
Because he couldn't stop drinking Shirley Temples. and they would go into the hotel room and they'd see he didn't eat any of the food that they got him.
Right.
It was healthy. He was just fucking pictures of Shirley Temples.
Yeah.
Except he didn't need to try because he's like 7'4".
Right. And in the
had
NBA,
all these natural gifts like Yuki.
Right.
He has the same Joel Embiid energy.
Right. Right. And they move
into talent.
Raw talent. And he's in Italy, and he's on this regimen, and he is not happy about it. He does not like, I mean, Yuki is all of us. Yes. Yuki is all of us schmucks who watch Drive to Survive and don't do anything with our lives.
Somehow he's made it to the top levels of the sport, not wanting to work hard.
Yeah.
Because I guess he's just talented.
Yeah, and now he's with the big boys, and he's got to be up in the morning doing his workout, and I mean, it's just iconic. I mean, him just saying that it ruins my whole day is just iconic.
And he's always like ripping farts and talking about he needs to take a poo.
Yeah.
And then when they're showing him like the schematics of the car and he's in a meeting, he's
yawning.
Showing him yawning.
Yeah. That was amazing.
He's like, this is so fucking he's insane. And then
he's being dragged into being a professional athlete. Yeah. It's like no one held a gun to your head and said you have to be a Formula One driver. Seemingly this is what you want. Seemingly this is
so he can open a restaurant.
Yeah, he said that. He said it before.
And what's great is like when you see George like getting in his underwear, he's like, is this my Botas moment?
Yeah.
And then they got to Yuki in his underwear and he goes, you guys shooting a porno? What's going on over here? The guy doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah, he's the fucking best.
Perez sees him and he's like, what's up, player? Or whatever. And Yuki goes, hey, psycho. He calls Perez a psycho.
Oh, I didn't see that. That's amazing.
Yeah. And I get to see the zip ups. They're wearing all these sick polos that Brian apparently got me.
Yeah, it should be getting there soon.
Well, it's so funny. There was a woman with a clipboard that knocked on my door. I saw her through the window. I go, "Is this the delivery?" I fucking get up from Drive to Survive. It might have been during the Yuki episode. I'm like, I want the polo with the zipper.
Right.
And I throw open the door, and she goes, I see the woman with the uniform and the clipboard, and I'm like, give me the outfit already. I'll sign for it. She goes, do you have a moment to sign this petition for minimum wage? I'm like, no!
No, I want my Formula One t-shirt.
I don't have time for minimum wage. I'm busy fucking watching. I signed for the minimum wage.
Hell yeah, because we're so fucking woke. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they also profile Esteban.
But fuck that.
Karn, I guess.
Apparently, he won a race at Hungary.
He won a race by the skin of his teeth. They do. They talk about his relationship with Fernando Alonso.
Yes,
which needs to be discussed.
And Alonso was like, first of all, we got John.
We got to give credit where credit's due.
Well, first of all, John did shit talk us for saying that Lewis had a faster car.
Right.
Did at the end of the season. So go fuck yourself. But John wrote about Fernando. Biggest laugh line of the entire show was Fernando Alonso saying, "You always want to help the younger driver." Christian Horner wishes he could say something that completely divorced from reality with that straight a face. I am more likely to believe that Fernando Alonso bathes in the blood of virgins from GP2 than to believe that he prioritizes the well-being and growth of his younger teammates. But by God, did he try and sell it with those beautiful brown eyes. Thankfully, I am immune to him because my father loves me unconditionally.
Well, yeah. If you know anything about Fernando Alonso and his relationship with younger drivers, then you know that he tried everything in his power to ruin Lewis Hamilton's life and ruin his career.
Yes.
But could do no such thing. I don't know.
Lewis Hamilton would be fucking mopping floors if Fernando
had his way.
But they criminally didn't give Fernando his due in that episode.
No, they didn't.
Fernando's defense of Hamilton.
Yes.
They didn't even touch it.
I know.
There was such a well there. They could have referenced his rivalry with him in McLaren.
I know, especially given the fact that they were like they had a bit of a narrative of like that Fernando's there to help the younger driver. That was the most. That was the best part of that whole
cutting room floor.
They really did. That was a mistake. That was a mistake. And
it was one of the best on-track moments of the year.
Yeah.
Just from a watching a people race standpoint, it was incredible.
Right.
That and Checo.
Right.
They really didn't give Checo a lot either.
They didn't give Checo a lot. Yeah, there was some other shit that there was stuff like that they left on the cutting room floor.
Checo's redemption at the end was
right.
Just telling us to suck his fucking big dick, according to.
Oh my God! Yeah, Christian Horner. But you know what? We're gonna get that in our final episode of our Drive to Survive Season 4 recap. That is all we have for this episode. Thank you for listening, Vankers, and until tomorrow.
Goodbye, Vankers.
Ciao, Vankers.